Good evening. It is Thanksgiving Day, currently around 8 p.m., and I am in the BCSC lounge here to record a video and talk to myself about loneliness. Off topic, but my outfit today is very green. I'm going to preface this video by talking about my purpose in making this video. This is not a argumentative piece. I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. I'm not one of those self-help YouTubers or podcasters. The purpose of this video is entirely for myself. And the reason this video is public is in case this video does help someone else, in case something that I say resonates with you, or changes the way you look at things. But ultimately, this video is for me. So what brought about this video? I was recording my Thanksgiving break vlog today, and I found that in a lot of the clips, I was talking about loneliness. And the purpose of my Thanksgiving Day vlog is not to talk or narrate too much. It's to show sort of a day-to-day what's going on in my life. So I figured a separate video about this subject would help, because clearly it was weighing on my mind, and it is weighing on my mind. First, I want to provide a definition and very clearly state that I think loneliness and being alone are two very separate things. So loneliness to me is sort of an uncomfortable emotion associated with being alone, while being alone is just being in a state of physical isolation from others. And those are the definitions that I'm going to follow in this video. And something that I have been thinking about and did think about in these last 3 months was that before I came to college, someone told me that college was about learning how to be alone and learning how to deal with loneliness. I don't remember who told me that or where I got that from, but clearly it really resonated and stuck with me. So I went into college having this expectation. Okay, I'm coming here to learn a lot of things, and one of them is going to be about solitude. And I was prepared. But being prepared and expecting something is different from experiencing it. So these last 3 months have been filled with a lot of loneliness and being alone. And I think I've struggled with coming to terms with that, accepting that, and differentiating between the two. So in this video, I hope I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So high school, or not even just high school, last 18 years of my life. I've pretty consistently, 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, too many weeks a year. I've been in one location with the same group of people, in rotation, school. And then when I'm outside of school, running errands or doing my extracurriculars, volunteering, I'm still surrounded by a community that I am familiar with. And then even outside of that, if I'm truly doing nothing, lazing at home, I'm with my family. And that has been what I'm used to for these last 18 years. And of course, there have been times when I felt alone, times when I felt lonely, especially throughout middle school, times when I felt like my connection with the people around me wasn't where I wanted it to be. But I was always pretty supported. And of course that's changed now that I've come to college. I don't think it's even just the change in, schedule. So I go to class for an hour, spend an hour with a certain group of people. After class, I go maybe to a club and I'm with a different group of people. But it's more about the lack of consistency. So college, or at least the school that I've chosen, is so big that really any given day, same time, any given day, I'm spending it with completely different people. And I think I'm still new to this place that I don't understand, and I haven't found a place in the community yet. So lack of consistency. And I think my character/personality has played a big role in this as well. I like to think of myself as having a very outward personality. I seek people out. I like to talk with people. I like to have conversations. Being in person with someone, quality time, some may say, really reaffirms my sense of connection with that person. And another part of it is my goals and expectations of college. So I understand I'm here in college to learn a lot, And I think one of the things I'm here to learn is social development. So when I am alone, when I'm not in conversation with someone, even if I'm just studying alone and not co-inhabiting space with someone, not studying with them, I feel like that is a failure on my end because I am not developing socially in that moment, because I'm not having a social experience. And I think that sense of failure weighs on me more than the actual sensation of loneliness itself. And I'm sure that's something I can decipher in another video at some later point. But the goal of today's video is to talk about loneliness. So something that I've really had to figure out in these last 3 months is, one, my connection with people. So naturally, the transition between high school and college is a big one. Essentially, I'm becoming more independent. I've moved out. I'm away from my family. I'm really embarking on my own path. And it's a separation of me and the people that I had previously known and considered my friends. We're all going to different schools, and we're taking our own paths, which naturally leads to distance. I'm not going to be close as I was with these people like I was in high school. And this is just a phase of life. It's inevitable. Is it comfortable? No. Am I happy with the fact that I can't wake up every morning and sit on the bus and talk to Jen Tai for 15 minutes? No. And I think it's just this feeling of connection that has been severed or is slowly weakening that really got to me, because it left me feeling like I was without a support system or a foundation of people that I can turn to. And I understand it's not that I've been completely cut off, right? We're still friends. I'm still in contact with these people, like even with my family. Something that put me through a tough time was the fact that I was essentially moving out. But it's not like I was being straight cut off from my family. My family is still here to support me, a little more distant than they used to, and they'll grow more distant over time, but I still have them. So that sense of connection between me and previous relationships weakening has, clearly impacted how I feel about me and being alone. And then another thing is a sense of connection between me and people here. So it's harder to form connections in college than it was in high school. Like, understandably so. A part of it is that everyone's schedule is just so completely different. And also that we have very, very different goals in mind. That means it's, I'm not talking to someone 5 days of a week now. Maybe I'm just talking to them 1 day of a week. And as a result of that, it's harder to form a connection with them. That's something that I've had to accept, and something that I think I really struggled with in my first 3 months here. More so than the sense of weakening connection. The realization that, hey, this is how you're going to approach relationships in college. You're not going to see this person for 5 days of a week. Maybe you'll only see them for 2 days of a week, and that's okay. And finally, the third thing is literally just coping with being alone and understanding that being alone does not equate loneliness. So I find that, here I am. I'm alone right now in the BCSC lounge. There's no one around. I'm even alone on campus. The friends I've made have gone back for break. Campus is pretty dead. So I'm very physically alone. But that doesn't mean that I don't have connections and people that will support me. And I think the last 3 months I've had to sort of dig through that to understand, because so much of my previous understanding of relationships has been based in physical closeness, I'm here, you're there, we're interacting, in physical interactions. And in the last 3 months, I've kind of had to come to the realization that, connection isn't just about seeing each other face to face. Even though that's a big part of forming connections for me, it's realizing I have to sort of ease up or step back from that because we're in college now and people don't have time for that. So 3 major takeaways. 1, weakening of former relationships. 2, learning how to form new ones, and 3, differentiating between being alone and lonely. So what am I going to do about it? Because I can do all the reflecting I want, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I don't change and act on those reflections. So I think, number 1, I'm in a pretty comfortable place over it right now. I don't think that I left, or over these last 3 months, I feel like my previous relationships have abandoned me. I'm still comfortable in them. I'm talking to my friends back home often on a very daily, weekly basis. Number 2, forming new connections. Stepping back and giving people space is something that I've realized, because not everyone is going to want to see me 5 days a week. Some people want that friendship to be, we'll see each other 2 days a week, and that's okay. And then 3, differentiating between being alone and lonely. So I think this third point is what I need to work on the most, and it's what I struggled the most on. I think the reason for this difficulty in this third point, being able to differentiate between if I'm alone or lonely, is that it requires a lot of self-reflection in how strong or where my relationship is with the people around me. So I think loneliness comes when I'm not satisfied or secure in those friendships and relationships. So I can be physically alone, but if I'm not confident that if something were to happen to me, if I need someone to talk to and turn to, if I'm not confident that I can find that person, then I'm going to feel alone. I'm going to feel lonely. But how can I tell how secure my relationship is with someone? Because you really never know. And that requires a lot of reflection and communication with the other person in terms of what you are to each other and how comfortable you are in relying on them. A second to last thing before I wrap up this video, I don't think loneliness and solitude are bad things. I think solitude is important, and it's very important for everyone to have some of it in their lives. I think solitude is a time that allows us to reflect on ourselves, and it's truly a time that's just for us. And it can be rare too, depending on where you are in life. I think that different people benefit to different degrees from solitude and need different amounts of solitude. But ultimately, I do think it's not inherently bad. And if you are going to extreme measures and truly abhor solitude, there is something else going on in terms of how you perceive yourself when you are alone. I don't think loneliness is a bad thing either, but I think it is something to watch out for, because if you are feeling lonely, it can be an indicator of, say, depression or anxiety. But I think by itself, to feel lonely is, to some degree, to feel human. And this is going to go into talking about bigger, grander, more broad things than I want this video to be about. But I just want to touch on these 2 points, that neither of these things are bad, but they're both things that we have to deal with in our lives and that we have to reconcile and learn how to work with. So if someone were to ask me for advice or what to expect, I would probably tell them something similar to what I said in this video. And that might be a little bit of a bummer for someone who's excited to move into this new phase of their life. Very exciting, new friends, new environment, independence. But I think it's also important to be realistic and acknowledge and talk about such things. Because I know that coming into college, being aware that not only would my entire social scene be changing, but also my loneliness, solitude level did help me with that transition